Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Book Club. This is part 3 of The Power of Now. My name is Roy, and the next person is Steffi.
Who's the next person?
Oh,
Steffi.
Steffi. It's Steffi. Hi. It's Steffi. I'm here.
She's here.
I'm here.
Oh, I'm the next person then. I'm Brett. What's up?
Hello.
It's Joe. I'm here.
You say Joe?
Joe.
Yeah,
Joe who?
Joe Mama. Joe Joseph.
Joe Mama
I'm gonna
bitch.
leave. Bye. I'm
Wait,
leaving.
why is it Steffi if your name is Kathy? What the fuck?
This is internet.
People. Exactly.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Blake has to start off.
Okay. Yay. I took a bunch of notes. I'm sure they were very insightful.
Can you understand the notes this time?
I don't know. Should I...
Are there
So I took
hieroglyphics?
notes for every chapter. Should I, talk about each one, or should we talk about everyone talk about chapter 3, and then everyone talk about chapter 4?
Nope. That don't
I
count.
think
You
just,
can just,
talk about the...
what you want to.
Yeah, talk about the things you want to. Regardless of what
Shit.
chapter it is.
Okay. Well, I'll just read my notes, I guess. Um, Starting with chapter 3. I said, nothing you need to learn or understand to fix your problems. It all starts with yourself. Which, thinking now, seems to be a recurring theme in that he says there's nothing you actually need to learn. It's sort of all already within yourself. I don't know if that makes sense, but
The hippies always say
I
it,
think
so it
it
makes sense.
does.
yeah. Some of these notes don't make any sense. One of them says, only time that is real is now, which I guess, again, that's sort of, maybe we've talked about that before. I don't know, it's been a while since our last meeting, but something about the past and present isn't real, whatever.
What do you mean, past and future?
Yeah. Something, okay, so, and again, I guess this is also a recurring theme, but problems, like thinking about what is wrong with your present, like what problems do you have now, something about how problems are just an illusion.
Oh, I wanted to bring that up too.
Go ahead.
I need to go back because it's in chapter 3 and it made me like upset the way you worded it. Okay. Chapter 60. Not chapter. Page number 63.
Chapter 63.
Literally, the
Just read
first one
ahead.
was like you're talking about life situation versus life. I think it was like your life situation
Yeah,
is just in time. Your life
and your
is
life
now.
is real or some
And your
shit.
life situation is mind stuff. Your life is real. And I felt like before we went on that trip and we had this hiatus, uh, I felt like I understood what he was saying, and then he lost me with this stuff. And it really irked me.
Hmm.
The way I saw it was like your life situation is like the problems and stuff that you have in your head, so like your responsibilities and all the stuff that's surrounding you now, based on like what's making you sad or happy, stuff like that. And then your life is like everything that has come up to that point, and that made more sense to me. Like all your like crowning achievements and stuff like that, the stuff that have been defining in your life, whether they've been good or bad, stuff like that. But I don't think that's what he was saying. I think he was trying to say that like you get into your own head and like you think about, oh, I don't have enough money to buy this. I got to save for such and such. So I need to like not buy this for X amount of days. And like that kind of stuff just like compiles and creates your life situation and just kind of like traps you in your mental place at the time. So you have your life situation, but you need to like not think about your life situation. You need to like expand it and just live your life as it is now.
Mm, I have more notes for chapter 3.
Go on.
Uh, somewhere he said quantum leap, and I thought that was funny. I thought that was like a funny buzzword. He said quantum leap. I don't know if he knows what quantum means, but next note. I also it's a recurring theme, but I own every time he references a book, I seem to own it. So I actually have the Bhagavad Gita or whatever the fuck, because I was approached by a guy on campus, and he was like, I guess selling books. I don't know if he's a. I think he was a follower of the. I don't know if it's a cult or maybe just a religious sect called. It's like Hare Krishna or some shit. And he was selling books, and he approached me, and he said I looked something. I can't remember what he said about me, but he said something. It was like, you want to buy these books, and I'm a sucker, so I bought the books. But I own the I own the Bhagavad Gita or whatever the fuck.
Did you
So maybe
read it?
I haven't not read it. So, but I like it's within, it's in my room. I know where it is. So like, if I really wanted to, I could read it. Maybe I'll read it after this book and try to
That
become
must
truly
be a
enlightened.
pretty, yeah, respected
Really
book.
enlightened.
Yeah. He sold me 3 books. Let me see.
For the other
I-
two.
Did you get a good deal?
I think I gave him like $10. I tried to give him. I sort of remember. I tried to give him $5 and he complained, so I gave him $10. Okay, so I have the Bhagavad Gita as it is what it's called. His Divine Grace, AC. I can't pronounce this dude's name. Anyways, there's also another one called The Science of Self-Realization, and then the third one is called Srimad Bhagavatam or some shit. It's by the same author. It's all by the same guy. I guess he has a religion, Hare Krishna shit. I don't know. Spiritual mumbo jumbo, but I'm sure it's enlightening in its own form. But okay, I have more notes. Chapter 4. And again, they're all sort of bleeding together, but one of the things I liked from chapter 4 was when he was talking about accepting your reality instead of resisting it. Like, I guess not denying what is happening, whatever. I don't know. I just liked it, but complaining. He said something about complaining. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually like that part because I was like, uh-oh, women bitch a lot, and they need to stop bitching.
So true. So fucking
And
women.
then, yeah, I mean, if you think about your things logically, I mean, it made sense to me. I'm like, well, you have 3 options, right? It's like you either accept your situation, you leave your situation, or you improve it.
Yeah.
So
He also, to go along with that, I guess he said, wherever you are, and I have a spelling error in this note, but wherever you are, be there totally, which I like. Again, it's a sort of all circles around to the moment, being in the moment, and the presence, and whatever the fuck.
I like that, and I feel like a lot of people want that, especially, you know, with cell phones and social media and everyone looking at their phones instead of spending the time with the person that you're actually with.
Yeah, that is the whole reason why I like this, or why I originally want to read this book, is because the idea of mindfulness, which to me just is being in the moment, I guess.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because if you think about it, a lot of people are not in the moment, right? They're always thinking, they're kind of like living in the future. Like, oh, what do I got to do in an hour or a day from now or whatever?
Yeah.
About all their responsibilities, just consuming them.
Or they're doing other stuff to get away from that too.
True.
Like there's one point he mentioned, and I forgot what chapter it was. I think it was moving deeply into the now, where he's talking about like people going shopping, doing other stuff to distract themselves or keep themselves out of being there. So
What else? Something he said. Maybe this was just a note I took. I don't know if he actually said this, but waiting for the future instead of being in the present, which he touches on this again in chapter 5 about the whole idea of waiting. And he had a funny quote, I thought, which is like, the next time someone apologizes for making you wait, you could say, "No, I wasn't waiting. I was enjoying
Oh, yeah.
myself or
Yeah,
some shit.
us sitting here enjoying myself. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, which would be a funny thing to say, but I feel like it would come across sarcastic. But
It would cause sarcastic, or you're jerking your spagurkin or something.
yeah, no, I was enjoying myself
I'm
alone, or
enjoying
however
myself.
he phrased
wink,
it.
wink,
I
and then
mean,
you're
that's-
just like, ugh.
You probably just
Yeah,
like
this
say
guy's-
differently, like I was just enjoying the scenery or something, like just
Yeah.
name something specific, and not
Just
just
in
I
the
was
moment.
enjoying my time sitting on this bench.
Unlike you unenlightened plebeians, I could enjoy my alone time. Uh, but I think okay, so this is probably my favorite note. His whole achieving inner purpose versus outer purpose, and that your outer purpose is, to do with your life situation and your sort of goals, and your inner purpose is, I guess, your spirituality or however you want to refer to it, and becoming at peace, or again, however you think about it. But I like that because he says something like, uh, your life will sort of never be enough if you don't enjoy what you have, which makes sense because it's like if you're always striving for more, which I guess necessarily isn't a bad thing, but if you never appreciate what you have, then you'll always be unhappy in that sense with what you currently have. I like that.
That's why I'm drunk all the time, because that way I don't think about like I have to get drunk at this time and period. I'm drunk all the time.
Yeah, he's calling me out in chapter 5 because he's talking about like the things that you do to avoid the current moment or
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
in the moment. Fuck.
Mhm.
But
He's like smoking.
speaking of
and
chapter
drinking
5,
and video
yeah.
games and breathing oxygen and eating food.
Yeah, anything that you do that's not just like being in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
it's all worthless.
Yeah.
We
haven't reached that level where we can sit on a park bench for years and be content.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any valuable notes from chapter 5. I took one note that's just called "The Divine Presence," which I thought was funny. It's something about like how the Christ, like the word Christ, is like your sense of being or some shit.
Oh yeah.
I don't
got
know.
confused at the end of chapter 5.
I think for that one he said don't get too attached to like the words. You could just like interpret
it's not like
it
a
as,
person.
you can interpret it as like presence or being. So basically,
Right.
being like in the
I
moment.
understand that, but like for the rest of like the beginning of chapter 5, like on to that point, like it was fine. Like I understood what he was talking about, and then he brought up Christ out of nowhere, and I was like, how does this
Yeah.
work back in? I guess was like my main thing. Like
He
it
was
didn't need to be said.
he
I
was
thought.
saying like the person Jesus achieved the like level, the Christ level through his presence or whatever the fuck, and that don't attach the word Christ to like a person necessarily, just as an idea.
Yeah, I think a big part of that one was about kind of like the division between like, being or like spirit and like the form, so like your physical form. And so I guess like the idea or the idea that I got from that section was basically that Jesus was born in like human form, but he didn't like become Christ until he like got like enlightenment.
Yeah,
By tapping to the power of the now.
I did like his little quotes, like the little
Mm-hmm.
Jesus quotes, like "I am the truth, I am divine presence," something like that. But that's all my notes. It was a fever dream. They all blend together, but
that means the mind time is breaking apart.
true. One of those chapters, he didn't have a lot of pause breaks. It was a very intense reading. Might have been chapter 4. Okay, I'm done.
Joseph's turn.
Joseph's turn.
Yay!
Yeah, Joseph's turn.
Chapter 3, I don't remember much from because we had the whole 1 week without book club. There's only a couple things that I could identify with, or not identify with, but talk about. I forgot what part it was. He's talking about like people resonate off high frequency energy, like depending on your mood, attitude, stuff like that. You can get that if you're surrounding yourself with people that are constantly complaining or down about it, you probably gonna absorb that energy and not be better for yourself.
That's why we don't play League of Legends anymore.
What'd you say? Hey, that's why what?
That's why we don't play League of Legends anymore. Everyone's so negative.
Oh yeah, I heard that you and Smoker played League at some point.
It's easy. Easy enough.
And then thinking about the future too much, I do agree with like what Blake was talking about on that one. Like, if you think too much about stuff, you get caught up in that thought. You're stressed out all the time. It sucks. I've done that before, and I caught myself doing it, and I have to stop it. And then there's one part where he made me laugh talking about it. I think it was on like page 84 or whatnot. He's talking about, are you stressed or something like that? You could either just accept it for what it is or just be sitting on a park bench somewhere. And I noticed this dude's obsessed with park benches. But yeah. The book's complicated for me. It's like, this is probably one of the most hardest books I've read yet, so I really didn't read any other books besides Atomic Habits. So, yeah. I don't have really much else to talk about.
Respect.
So you're saying
I don't
you did not sit on a park bench for 2 weeks?
No,
Oh
I couldn't
my
do it.
god.
What the fuck?
I'm good.
That's all we did in Miami is sit on park benches.
Sit on park benches.
You guys were in the now.
We didn't sit on a single park bench.
I still think this dude was high off his mind when he high out of his mind when he talking about he's in the power now, because I still haven't figured out how to do it yet. I think he was like doped up on some LSD or something. He's part of a fucking mind control project. Who knows?
He's part of MK Ultra.
They just pumped him full of like LSD.
Yeah, probably.
It's just a confusing book for me, so I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm
So-
done.
You guys want me to go?
Yeah, you go.
Your turn.
Yes.
Okay.
Profound revelations.
I have reached enlightenment and I have atoned for my sin. No, I haven't.
Oh.
No, I honestly, I think I like partially got into like the presence or like the now, like today, because I think I was just doing like some reading some other stuff and like drawing, and then it was I guess time skipped like 2 hours ahead or something, and I didn't even realize like how fast ahead the time went ahead. But I think the interesting thing, and I'm trying to like it's one of those books where it's something that's like kind of like complex and it's hard to basically describe and get someone to like the understanding with just like words, which is why like in the chapter, I think towards the end of like chapter 5, he says something, or maybe in like the start of chapter 5, he says don't get like too fixated on the words themselves and try to like use them, like the words are like a general pointer towards what he's trying to like teach you. And so I'm trying to like understand his, particularly what he means like when he says like the mind is like thinking and doing thoughts, that he says to like observe it, because my understanding of observing used to be like you perceive it and you like analyze things and you kind of like judge it or evaluate it and stuff. But in one of these chapters he talks about perceiving it but not, and he explicitly like negates those. He says don't judge it, don't analyze it and stuff like that, just basically perceive it without like thinking about it. And like,
Yeah, I think that's what observing means, right? Like if you were
Yeah.
like to bird watch and you're just observing the animal behavior and they're not, doesn't necessarily, I mean, I guess maybe it could mean you're taking notes and stuff, but I thought it meant more you're just watching it. You're just in the
Yeah.
presence and you're
well,
watching it.
my understanding that word before was like different though, so kind of
Okay.
like getting to understand what his like vocabulary is and like understanding like what he means when he says those words. And so basically when he says like observe the mind, so it's like if you're kind of sitting there and your mind's thinking about like, oh, maybe I should go do this or do that, or oh, taxes are coming up and stuff. He basically means to just like perceive it, but not to like think about the mind. Like don't think about thinking, just kind of like perceive it.
How can you not think about thinking when stuff pops in your head?
That's-
You did have that one point. It's like just pause really quick. And what did you think about?
It's
Oh,
already in your
nothing. That's good.
mind. It's already in your mind, so therefore you're thinking about it.
I was like, no, what the fuck? I was
Well,
thinking about trying not to think.
that's kind of like the interesting thing, and I think that's the thing that we have to. That's like kind of like the crux of the point that we have to like learn to do. Like that's the skill we have to learn. We have to learn how to perceive something
All right, so
without like mentally toying with that, without like
like
mentally like
you know a
analyzing.
bill's come, you know a bill's coming up, but you sweep it under the rug because you ain't paying attention to it. That's what I make of that.
Well, I kind of like the cat in the mouse hole analogy, where kind of like sit there and then like wait for like the next thought to like come up, and then kind of like perceive and like realize when that like thought comes up, but try not to like. It's kind of like meditation in a way.
Don't
like
dwell on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah, because I mean, a huge point of like the book is like you're trying to de-identify with the mind. Like the mind is just like some aspect of like your your body and your being, but it isn't like you. And you're trying to like basically disassociate with that and trying to not identify with whatever's going on inside the mind.
I see.
And so that's definitely the hardest part. And I still don't know exactly, how to do that. It kind of seems like accidental when I do it. But I guess the closest analogy I could say it's like meditation. You know, when you sit there, you cross legs, and you just like sit and meditate, and thoughts kind of like pop in and out of your head. You don't when you're meditating, you don't want to like entertain those thoughts. You don't want to think through those thoughts through the thought process or anything like that, or analyze them or anything.
I guess probably the closest thing I came to that is like when I used to do all that coloring and shit like that. You'd sit there and just focus on that one thing, and shit coming out of your head. You wouldn't even pay no attention to it. So
yeah, and he also says like, another thing to like practice presence is to listen, and so it seems like a lot of like presence stuff is just like perception without like getting the mind involved. It's just like you can perceive like an animal, or you can listen to somebody, like you can have your like senses without like using your mind component to kind of judge them.
Just kind of like acknowledging that they're there.
Yeah, I kind of think of it kind of like animals, because like when I perceive like most animals, I'm not like when I see like a cat or a dog and stuff like that, I don't like perceive the animal and then judge and be like, oh, that's a shitty breed of like dog, or that's a shitty breed of cat. It's like,
what the fuck?
It's more like I want to pet that animal. there's not like you don't really like think about it. You kind of just like perceive it.
Uh-oh.
If that makes any sense.
But that's like when we were at the beach today and I saw the ducks and I just want to reach down off the ledge to touch the ducks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When they were following us because they thought they were gonna get food from us.
Dude, tell me why I look you want some Long Johns.
Yeah, there's some like towards the end of like chapter 5 and stuff like that. There was some interesting things where he says this is kind of like Eastern philosophy, but he basically says like that all things, like living and non-living things, are consciousness that like manifests as like a form, and form just basically meaning like the actual like physical shapes of things. So it's like the way that the human body is like shaped, like that's the human form, right? Or like the way that like a stone or a wheel is, like that's the physical like form of it. That's usually what they just mean with form. It's like the actual like tangible shape of something. And so I thought that was interesting because his idea is that basically the I guess the I'm not sure like if it's like everything. Well, no, it probably would be everything because they talk about like the one, and that's like Eastern philosophy, but like everything is part of a singular consciousness, and then everything in the world is that consciousness kind of like materialized into a form for I guess certain purposes to do things. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I think that's about it for me though.
My turn?
Yeah, Steph, your turn.
Okay. In like you said, we kind of went through the chapter. So this book is interesting because I feel like, at least for me, when I read it, certain things like resonate with me. And I was reading a page. where is it? Page 83. Well, I would say 82 and 83. But it was talking about, like you said earlier, the part about complaining. And then in my copy of the book, it's a used book, so person before me highlighted a bunch of stuff, but they kind of highlighted like the points of it. And it said, complain is always non-acceptance of what it is.
Oh, that's right. That's a really good one. I like
That's
that
a really
one.
good one.
I liked it a lot, and then it's because like I live in like sunny California, and it's been a little hot here. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's so hot," and I'm like, yeah, sure, it's hot, but it's just like it's part of the planet. Like like there's winter, there's spring, there's summer, there's like fall, there's just seasons and different temperatures, and like I don't know. I think it's okay to like sweat and just smell like booty holes sometimes. It's just
It's
Tell them to
Like,
come to
it is
Indiana
what
where
it
they can
is.
get all 4 seasons in 24 hours.
it has been humid here though too. Like you get a little sticky and you get uncomfortable, but
That's been
I
here too.
as I've gotten older though, like I don't really complain about those things because I just feel like I don't know. I feel fortunate in the fact that like I'm like I have water, I have air conditioning when I go inside the house. Like I have a lot of things that not necessarily everybody has like around the world. Like some people don't have air conditioning, some people don't even have access to like clean water. Like, and I'm gonna bitch about like, oh my god, it's 85 degrees, how hot? So it's just I don't know. That was something that I really liked because being a woman, I do complain about things, so it kind of was a nice refresher to be like, you know what, just remind yourself that like I said earlier, there was three things. It said if you wanted to if you want to take responsibility for your life, you must choose one of those three options, and you must choose now. So those three options were what was it?
Either leave it, change it, or accept it.
Yeah, if you find your here and now intolerable and it makes you unhappy, you have three options: remove yourself from the situation, change it, or accept it totally. So, and for me, like I know my personal preferences. Like I don't want to move to Arizona where it's like 115 all the time in the summer. That's too hot for me. That is too hot.
Yeah.
Change the weather.
If my dog's feet are gonna like literally just disintegrate when we try to go outside at like 12 o'clock to go potty, like that's too hot for me. No, I'll pass.
I will say of like a lot of like this book and stuff, there's a lot of stuff that kind of just like, goes over me. But I will say the part that is kind of like I'm like starting to like accept and like understand is like the acceptance of like reality.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know if it's maybe like a symptom of being like young or if it's like a newer generation thing, but it seems like we complain about like basically everything. And that the idea of like complaining is just denial of reality is just kind of something that like struck a chord.
So about
And
complain about. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's funny that he was saying that because that's the other part on 83. It says only a surrendered person has spiritual power. Through surrender, you will be free internally of the situation. And it kind of made me think of like most religions and stuff. They want you to like a lot of the older abuelitas I meet and stuff that are strong in their faith. They have this interesting like acceptance of life, I guess. And they're like that God will take care of them, and they're very empowered in that way, which I always thought was like a little bit silly because I'm like, like you should be more involved and be proactive and do things. But I mean, at the end of the day, as a single individual, you can only do so much. I think you should do the best you can, but I think that they have a certain special power when you kind of just surrender. And it's not like giving up, like, oh, okay, chop my head off. Not that kind of surrender.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of religions have like something similar like that. I forget exactly what the like Christian Catholic one but it was something like Lord, give me like the strength to change things I can and
accept what I can't, right?
Yeah, and accept what I can't, and like the wisdom to tell between the two or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they basically have like same wisdom and like throughout like religions. It's basically just stated in different ways.
And maybe that's what we're lacking because we're not as much, our younger generation's not as been raised in the church or anything or very like spiritual. So we forget that we have a lot of power, and it's like some things we don't have power over and we can't change, and some things we do, and maybe just people know that difference, you know?
Yeah, and a thing that I've like definitely noticed with like people in general is that if they don't have like whatever they deem to be the most like valuable is like something that they'll worship. It seems like humans are basically incapable of not worshiping something. So it's like they're gonna worship something. They'll worship like sex or drugs or money, or like things that are basically beneath them. But if people have something better to worship, then they'll like work towards something better. So like if they have that idea, like I mean, a lot of like philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and stuff say that like the reason why people do like bad things is because they don't know the difference between good and evil, so they end up worshiping like whatever is like the most satisfactory and stuff like that. But if they knew like the virtues of like like charity and honesty and all that type of stuff, it's like it gives them something above them to worship, like something higher and greater than themselves.
Yeah. So I wanted to say, yeah. I like this book though too because I feel like, it's a nice little reminder, and I'm trying to like implement the things that I'm like learning, like I'm just trying to not like for me personally, because I try to be productive, and so sometimes when I'm just tired and I want to just sit down and brain off and look at stuff on Amazon or peruse around the internet, like I think I just mentally like guilt myself a little bit. Where like, oh, I'm not being productive. Like I should be doing this or I should be doing X, and I'm like, no. I have to remind myself like I'm in the now. It's okay. It's okay to take a break and relax, It's only a problem if I do it like and I never go back to work, if I stop eating and showering and doing basic functions.
Yeah.
He even brought that up. He said if you're gonna be
Yeah.
lazy, like embrace it,
Gotta go all in or something.
He said be lazy.
If you
And
gotta
don't
fuck shit up, be 100.
I think just
Well, I
being a
mean,
human, we have that
like
mental affliction where we like punish ourselves no matter what we're doing. Even if we are
Yeah.
doing something productive, you're like, I should be doing it faster. I should be getting paid
Well,
more. I should
work
be
culture does
better
that
at
a lot too. Like a lot of places where you work at, they'll slave run you and make you feel like shit even if you're doing a good
true.
job.
That
Yeah.
is, you're very right.
Well, I that was kind of like a big issue that I had too, like thinking about like efficiency of things, and like the Atomic Habits also kind of like talked about that too, like the you like procrastinate through planning, like you plan things out, you procrastinate that way. But I remember it's like whenever I was like trying to study something or like get like knowledgeable on something, I would be kind of like upset thinking about like, oh, I don't have like the best books and I don't have like a mentor or anything like that, and you don't actually do those things because you're basically so dissuaded by thinking about like, oh, my time is going to be efficiently spent there. But it's just kind of a dumb thing, because the only way you get better at anything is that you have to practice it and do it. Like, sure, you're probably not going to get there as fast, but it's better to actually do something and make progress rather than just sit on your hands and then never make any progress at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think that was a like a piece of wisdom saying too, where it's like any step on a journey is better than the perfectly planned journey never taken, or something like that.
Exactly. Well, think about how many people probably don't, they're like, oh, well, I want to go, I don't know, off-roading, but I don't have the best truck, or maybe this is a bad analogy. If you want to start something, but you're like, I don't have the proper gear, it's like usually you can find something, and you don't have to have like the best, shiniest car or toy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You can have the best tools in the world, but if you don't got the skills or the knowledge, you use them, and it's not gonna do anything for you.
Yeah, it is a pretty big thing, but it's
All
also
these people in California with Jeeps, they don't go off-roading.
Yeah, it seems like practicing and doing is like far more better than like, sure, planning does help a little bit, and you probably should plan a little bit, but you should just do it. And I've been kind of like, I've been in like I guess getting into the more habit of just like doing things like I want to do, not like stressing it out too much and not thinking about time too much. Oh, also, like, ironically, I have an hourglass, and the rule for me whenever I flip that hourglass is that is the sand is like going. It's like I don't care about anything outside of like kind of like the immediate area. So I'm not thinking about like work tomorrow or like bills due or anything.
So it's like a break in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of like a ironic thing. It's like I use an hourglass, something that measures time, to escape time. So, but yeah, so whenever I flip that hourglass, I'm like, okay, I'm not stressing. I'm not worrying about anything. I don't care about like the past or the future or work or bills or anything tomorrow, and I just do literally anything I want to.
Nice.
Amen. Steffi, did you have any more?
No, I think that's pretty much it. That's one of the. I mean, a lot of his points stand out, but some of them like actually stick with you, where you can remember to discuss it.
I don't know what part you were talking about earlier, where people bitch about too much shit. That actually brought up a memory I had when my aunt Lisa, she travel agent, she took us on a trip to Mexico or whatnot. We were like, I think I was like 12 years old at the time. My aunt Cindy took us to a village and we toured around it, and I saw how all unfortunate all these little kids were. Like, didn't have no fucking clothes, no clean water, shit like that. It made me realize at a young age, like, be fortunate for what you have. When I came back home, I donated a shitload of clothes.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's very humbling. That's why it seems like people that do travel a lot, they like you get humbled, and I feel like if you don't get humbled in life, like I mean,
I know we were
gotta...
lucky too, because it was in Mexico, and we're lucky we didn't get kidnapped. My aunt Lisa was pissed off that my aunt Cindy did that without telling her. But yeah, no, it definitely made me be more happy for the shit that I had, because seeing people that live it worse than you, gives you a different perspective on things. To appreciate what you have.
That is very true. All right, I think that concludes my turn.
Brett's turn.
Yay.
My turn? Oh.
Are you in the now,
Yeah.
Brett?
Brett's turn.
I was in mine now. So, I guess we'll start chapter 3 and just go through all the chapters. I like the delusion of time that he was talking about in chapter 3. I think he said, like, time is a human construct or something to the effect of that, which it is.
That's what I say whenever I show up late to work.
Yeah.
Human construct. I can say that to my boss next time, see what she says.
It's a fictional construct.
I am on time because the time is now.
Yeah, the time is now.
I am on time because it's my time.
I am here.
Oh yeah, in chapter 3 he was talking about like the reason people like doing dangerous activities like mountain climbing and car racing and shit like that is to like so they have like an attraction to be in the now and stuff, like that adrenaline rush that you get and shit. I thought that was an interesting thing to think about, because like that could be like addicting, I guess, having an adrenaline rush for people who are like thrill seekers and shit.
I use roller coasters all the time. I know how that is.
I think it's like also like whenever you get like the flow state too, that's also pretty addictive as well.
Yeah.
The pro state.
Yeah, in the pro state.
The pro state.
The flow state and the pro state.
Pro state.
Something to think about.
Anarchist face when they realize they have a pro state.
Yeah.
The other thing I liked about chapter 3 was saying that the mind can't know something. So it says on 54, the mind cannot know the tree. It only knows facts or information about the tree. I kind of like that one. That's helped me a little bit with how I think about like certain stuff. Like I don't know exactly who like someone is, I guess, because I haven't talked to them. But like I can know that their hair is black or something by looking at them and shit. Like it's just an important distinction. I think it was in this chapter and the 5th chapter when he was talking about like human genocide and stuff, and that always throws me off.
Mm.
What do you say in chapter 5? Humans are like insanely dangerous and vile creatures, something to that effect.
Yeah,
Something really weird.
and like he basically tied it into like time because the justification of like the genocides are basically like we have to do
Yeah.
this evil now for a better future then.
Yeah, and then you don't have like those certain things now. Like if you were someone in high position, then you need to like keep the integrity of your family intact to like ensure the survival for your family, shit like that. So
Mm.
basically, you can't be no punk if you're a noble family or some shit.
Mhm.
But like now, it doesn't really fucking matter. Now you're looked down on if you do some shit like that.
So true.
So true.
So
I
true.
I just want to try it again. I really hate that life situation is mind stuff thing. Like, I get what he's saying. I just don't like the way he stated it.
Mm.
All problems are illusions of the mind. Yeah, I really hate how he says that.
That's so true.
That's so true, dude. If you're bored, that's just an illusion.
Just
it-
don't think more.
Just
No, remember like
Be
2 weeks
rich.
ago that I was choking on water and stuff, and he's like, "No problems exist in the now," and I'm like fucking dying in real life, and I'm like, I think there's a problem right now
Do
happening.
you have any problems now?
It's like, yes, I'm choking to death, I'm dying.
No, that's just an illusion.
That's true, because I was thinking about me being dead in the future. That was the problem,
Yep.
not
So
not
you
me.
weren't in the now at that moment.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
me.
you weren't in the now.
currently
You weren't.
dying.
You weren't addressing your current situation.
Yeah.
Accepting your death.
I was too worried about the future to stop myself from choking to death.
So true.
I just think it's funny. I mean, it's just it's kind of a hard thing because it's not something that's like intelligible by the mind, which is like what he states a bunch of times in different ways.
yeah. There's a lot of reoccurring themes in here
Mm-hmm.
that I'm hoping tie together in uh, later chapters, like a bit more. So I can see how they connect, but like, I want to see how he connects them.
Well, at the beginning of the book, his enlightenment happened when he became super suicidal. Maybe we need to do that. Let's all become suicidal.
No, he's fine once
Let's
he
all be homeless
and
for
then-
3 months and live
and
on
then
park
go sit on the
benches.
park bench. There you go. That's what you gotta
Yes,
do to fix
and
the
live on
problem.
park benches. And then when we wake up to like corvids pecking at our face, we will be enlightened.
In and now.
I like it was hard for me to understand, I think, but I like the ordinary and deep unconsciousness talks,
Mhm.
mainly about like when you're sitting in a room alone and stuff. Like, what would you do, I guess, at that point? What would your be reaction? Like, could you just sit there and enjoy the moment?
Mm.
I also thought it was funny when he brought that Native American chief thing in, and he said that
Oh yeah, that
why
part
people are always seeking and they always
yeah.
look mad.
I remember that
I
one.
thought, I was like, damn, do I gotta rescue
They just look
Brookface or something? Damn.
He called us out. Called
Yeah.
out
He called us out,
all
he
Western
did.
society.
White people bad. That's what I got from that one.
The West has fallen.
I mean, well, it definitely is sustainable. We're starting to see the end of that. So,
Millions must die.
I mean, how long
dropping-
were Native Americans like in North America, and then the
we
wildlife
did
and everything was in
We did
balance?
some fucked up shit to them though. So, like the blankets with the fucking smallpox on them. That's
Oh yeah.
I think the British people started that though. I think we learned it from them.
I mean,
British
Yeah.
people.
British.
probably.
I mean, there's a
learned
reason
British
why,
for
like-
most things.
There's a reason why like every country doesn't like Britain.
right. They're the
That's
one
why
that
we throw their
started
tea
all
in
of
the
it.
water.
Yeah. Yeah, we
So we
threw
threw their
the
tea in the
water.
water, and they all got pissed.
I like the dropping negativity thing too. It was really like abrupt and like hard to understand, I guess, from a first glance. But like
Mhm.
just dropping the negativity, I think it really is the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to me. Like if you like have a negative thought, then you just try to drop it. But if you like end up picking it up again, then you're like, okay, this is a problem. I need to address it. And that just really made sense to me of how I think of things. Like if I have a recurring thought, I was like, okay, I gotta do something about it because it's in my mind. I don't want it to be there.
Yeah.
You reap what you sow too. If you keep thinking about negativity, that's all you're gonna look at. Everything is negative.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, that stuff
Yeah.
is like pretty intelligible because it's like I like the fact that it's like very practical. It's like you either accept that you can't change it or you try to change it. Of course, there's the third option to leave, but it's like that option stinks.
Yeah.
It's the less favorable of the three. I would say change it is probably like the one you'd
Best
want to
way
prefer
to
the
go
most.
about it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then obviously accept the things you can't accept.
I also liked how he said give up waiting as a mindset as a fellow waiter, you know?
Yeah,
Not
that
like
definitely.
a waiter in a restaurant, but
Yeah, that definitely helps because it sucks to just kind of like wait around, especially if you're like waiting for. I don't really wait that much anymore, so like I do other things. Like if I'm
Like you waiting for your packages.
yeah, maybe.
You
Or I got a
be-
sick
yeah,
fox blanket.
Yeah, I know.
mine
That's
are like more subtle, I guess. Like if my dad is doing laundry one day or something, I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll just wait. And then I get involved with something else and then I
Yeah.
don't do laundry that day. So
I know how that
it
is.
like
I do
That's
that a lot.
that's better than like
compiles
that's like
and
better than
stuff.
putting everything on hold and just waiting
Just
to
that
do that
one
one
thing, yeah.
thing. That's what I usually do,
Yeah.
and I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
That's why if like someone's like, oh, I'm gonna like, we'll play games in a couple hours or something like that. I just go do other things, and then if they message me back, they message me back. If they don't, like, I used to just like wait. If someone's like, oh, give me a bit, or
And then
like,
you get
I'll
mad
in a
when they
bit.
don't show up.
Oh,
I
that's
know how that is.
Yeah,
You-
and then
you
you're
get
sitting
really
there waiting, doing nothing.
My bad. I didn't know that. I didn't know that people were
What
like
the
that there.
hell?
Oh my god.
How could you?
So I just go do other
Does
things.
my 5 minutes actually mean 2 hours?
Some people
That's
are
how my
like that.
brother-
They're
my
like, I'll be
brother's that
back
way. He's
in a
like, give me
moment.
10 minutes, and then 3 hours later he comes home.
Yeah, it still pisses me off to a certain degree, but not as much as it used to, because I just do other things.
I did what was medically necessary.
Also, I want to ask like y'all's opinion on this because this kind of messed me up. This said on page 97, I think this is chapter 5. The wider the time gap between perception and thought, the more depth there is to you as a human being, which is to say, the more conscious you are. How do y'all feel about that? 'Cause it-
I don't understand that gobbledygook.
I think he just
Yeah.
means
Yeah,
that's
same.
the more of like, because he talks about like being in the presence and being, which is you're just like in the now.
That's him
That-
sitting on park benches.
Yeah, well, he's basically saying that's like the depth of like your how in touch you are with like being conscious, with like being in the now.
I guess I'm not at all.
Yeah. Definitely not Joseph. Joseph is the first person to judge things.
I mean,
Joseph judges things before he even perceives them.
I'm
Wait,
judging.
He's prejudging. What is this,
I can
Evie?
judge.
I guess it just like confused me a bit because like I feel like my time gap between perception and thought is pretty like small, but I don't know like how that relates exactly to like a depth of a person or how
Sometimes you gotta
conscious
judge
you are.
stuff, though. It can be a stupid thing that you're gonna
Yeah.
get
Well-
yourself into.
His thing is basically like when you perceive things,
Mm.
and before you get to like the part where you think about things, so the mind part, so like the perception is like the part that doesn't include the mind, and then the thinking about it is the part that includes the mind. And so it says like the gap between when you perceive something and when you use the mind to think about it, like the further that gap is, like the more in touch you are with the now, with like being present. Is essentially
Yeah, I
what
guess
he's
that
saying.
makes more sense. I guess I'm just it's not like really concise on what thought is, so I could be like say hi to someone and think oh they're a nice person or something, and then like continue on with my day. Does that like do you have no depth at that point, or are you just like still in the now? I guess like it's not really
I guess
concise
if
on
you
what
say
thought
they're
is.
I guess if you say they're like a nice person, that'd be like judging. So that would be like a mental thing. That'd be like part of the
Maybe.
mind.
I judge people every day working in retail. It's hard not to.
I definitely kind of understand what he's getting at though, because it's like and we're definitely very conditioned to like judge things and evaluate things. Pretty much as soon as like we perceive something, we like evaluate. Like I mean, think about like people. Think about how like most people when they walk down the street and they see somebody else, they see somebody wearing like poor looking clothes and stuff, and they're like instantly judge them, be like,
Yeah.
this guy's an idiot. He's poor.
You're right.
He's got nothing good for him.
Like how you said the dude walking down the sidewalk with his big belly and his long ponytail, like that dude knows Linux.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
he looked like that.
It came out of nowhere. You judge.
The fuck?
He's just
I
like me
did.
for real.
I did, but that's not a bad thing. Learning Linux is like a good thing. But no, he looked like a stereotypical like computer nerd walking on the sidewalk.
So fucked up.
He had like the kind of like
The hair all the way down to
the
like
shorts.
The ass, basically.
Yeah, he had like
He's
shorts.
just like
he had
me.
The ponytail, greasy
For
hair,
real.
big glasses. I'm like that man.
I
Is
wear
like...
glasses.
And then we saw another hipster at Panda Express, and we're like,
He's like, what about
I
that
bet that
dude?
guy's on iOS.
No,
That guy
you
likes
said, what about-
Rust.
no, what it was is,
Oh, no.
he's like, that looks like another guy that might on Linux. I said, no, he's wearing sweatpants in public. That's an iOS.
Yeah, he's a Mac user.
He's a Swift developer.
Oh,
Fucking
my
nerd.
He's a React developer.
No pun intended. If then people end up finding this video.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, if you have long hair and you're fat, you know Linux or something.
They're born with that knowledge.
Also,
Yes.
rip my boy
Yo,
John,
Guther's hating.
the fish.
Oh, the fish part.
Yeah, the fish part, Rip John. I guess the last thing I wanted to say, I really liked the quote on 103, the Eastern saying, the teacher and the taught together create the teaching. I like that quote. It's a good one.
Oh wait, say it again. What quote?
The teacher and the taught together create the teaching.
Oh, I do like that.
103.
That's a
It's a
good one.
really good one.
Yep.
And that's about it.
It's
that I
pretty good.
had.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
This book
You
was
put
Funny,
it
over
out.
an
it
hour.
is hard to not judge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I work in retail. You want to talk about not hard to judge? You gotta judge. Man, it is so hard not to judge people. You see somebody coming in and you.
Well, what if it's not judging? It's just intuition. I knew he ran Linux.
Alright.
I knew.
We
I
got
could
this one
sense it.
customer-
I tapped in the power now,
I
and
could feel it.
I could sense.
He
his
lives in
energy.
a basement.
I could sense his
there's-
energy field. I can see the binary code floating around him.
So you can.
No.
So somebody walks through the
Yeah, I
door,
know
you
how to
see
make a
face
kernel.
tattoos, and then the white part.
He
what
made
would
his
you-
own kernel.
Would you judge somebody like this?
Mm.
Yeah. What would you say, Joseph?
We got this one customer. He'll walk in. He's got face tattoos, and then the white parts of his eyes, he got it all tattooed blue. Would you judge that person?
That is
What
sick.
the
Yeah,
That's
I'd be
he's,
bad.
scared,
badass.
probably.
the dude. I mean, dude, he's a white dude, short, about as tall as me. He's like,
Yeah, but
five-
like if someone tattoos
eight.
their eyes, I don't think I've ever
Yeah,
seen
Oh no,
anything
he
like that.
actually. He said he had to go out of country to do that because it's illegal to do here in the U.S.
He
I wonder
tattooed
why.
blue?
Yeah, the whites of his eyes are all tattooed blue. I asked him how he did that. He said he got it tattooed in India.
You
He had to
talk,
go there for like 2 months. He's a
That's
customer. I gotta talk
sick.
to him.
What
you
does he
gotta be
do?
like, bro,
I
I'm
think
not
he's
gonna
like,
take your eyeball because none of my friends believe me.
What if he's like an investment banker or something?
He's like a factory worker.
That'd be really funny if he like worked a fucking white collar job, like an office job, and he had blue eyes.
Then you
blue.
get these crazy homeless people that be coming up in there.
They're the real investment bankers.
Like, they're-
Yeah.
Is that end of book club?
I don't know. Any closing thoughts?
I don't know what's going on in this book.
Next week we'll tell each other crazy facts about each other and see if you can not judge.
I can feel my brain expanding.
Tomorrow we'll all do group meditation around the hookah pipe.
Let's go.
The virtual hookah pipe.
Yeah, I actually do want to get a hookah pipe because tobacco.
Have you tried hookah?
No, I haven't, but it seems kind of cool.
Guaranteed to make you shit your brains out.
I got asthma,
Really?
so I don't plan on doing it.
Stimulates the bowels.